Time now for our weekly visit with the maestro himself, David Whitley. David, good to see you again. And I want to kind of get a fix on where things are in the state of the union of Florida football. Kind of crazy lately. And let's just say this. There may be a storm on the horizon, but I don't think it's a Category 5. What do you think?
No, I think it is probably about a Category 3. And
Mm-hmm.
even if the winds are really get rocky and you crash into the shore at Columbia, and then you crash
Mm-hmm.
that final game at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium against Florida State. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It's not a storm that Billy Napier can't weather. There's no, you hear all the time, hot seat, hot, blah blah blah. I mean, we all know that he's still in real good stead with the powers that be at Florida, the people who make the call. But it would make for a rocky offseason. You hate going to all those Gator clubs and functions throughout the year and do it with a 5-game losing streak at your back.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier if they can somehow win one of the next two.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick one or two, you'd go with Saturday night a week from now and
Well,
ruin
that's
FSU.
yeah, that would be a good way to end a bad season and
Yeah,
maybe to salvage something, including a
yeah.
bowl game and non-losing season. Which, by
Mhm.
the way, to the miracle of internet, we're talking here tonight. I'm doing this show, and I'm also speaking at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. So that's how you do that. But so the topics are obviously the losing seasons. David, we're not accustomed to this kind of stuff around here. If he doesn't
No.
win one more game, it's going to be a third straight losing season for Florida football, of which 2 are his. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen
Do
around
you
here
even
very
remember
often.
the last time that happened? Are you
Funny you
even
should
old enough?
ask. Funny you should ask that right here. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you. For all you people out there at the Gainesville Quarterback Club answering a trivia question before I give it, here it
Mhm.
is. According to my records, what is it? Johnny Carson said in a mayonnaise jar
Oh,
under Funkawagler's
that-
porch or
that's
something.
right.
1945, 46, and 47. The last time Florida had 3 in a row. They were 4-5-1 in 45, 0-9 in 46, and 4-5 in 47. Now, you ask who were the coaches? Well, Thomas J. Lee was the coach in 45 and
Mhm.
46, and Raymond B. Beowulf was the coach in 46. So 44, 45, Lee, 46, Raymond B. Wolf. What's significant about that? That's the beginning of the so-called golden era. Now, I tried to explain to Shane, a youngster, Shane Matthews, why you
Mhm.
can't call Todd Golden's time at Florida the golden era. And that's why right there. Well, nobody cares about that. Well, Shane thinks if it happened before 1989, then it didn't really happen. But I wouldn't want to see that. So that's the last time it happened. Just not something we see around here much.
No, I don't. And I think they probably would have fired the one coach earlier, except for his $77 million buyout.
Yeah, he was probably $19.43 at
Yeah,
that point in
yeah.
time.
What would Ray Graves get when he was coaching here?
I think 60,000 is what he got, I believe, first year.
60,000. Well,
And
hey, that'd be like a $30,000 buyout these days. But, anyway,
and Jay Wayne Rice is only making 60, so he said he refused to pay Ray Graves more than he was making. So there you go. Which, by
yeah,
the
Chip
way,
Vincenzo wouldn't mind making 7.6
yeah,
mil. But,
yeah,
times have changed, but yeah, that is not something you want to have on your resume
mm-hmm,
if you're a Florida coach. But let's face it, the odds are that it's going to happen. And
yeah,
at Billy's press conference yesterday, and the corpses are starting to pile up in the SEC
mm-hmm,
right now. As we alluded to, Jimbo finally got the axe Monday, and Zach Arnett, Mississippi State, and you just can't be patient. It used to be no matter how bad the things were going, you didn't fire a coach till after the year, and because you didn't have to hire one right away. But now with it all comes down to recruiting, and that means you have to have something in place in December when signing day is and the portal opens.
and
So
the
this is
coffers are still open from the people with
yeah.
the money, because if they dry up, then there goes your class that you had signed,
Mhm.
right?
hmm So, I mean, that's not going to be an issue at Florida. The issue, you know, is, can you keep the class together? The number three, now it's number four class. A couple of guys flipped in the last few.
Matriculated, as they say.
Yes, yes. Which I think, I don't think two is anything to panic about because I think everybody's going to lose a couple, and that's just the nature of the business now. Does it become 4, 5, and 6 kind of players? And you can make an argument. Well, heck, some guys they see they're losing. That means that they know they can come in here and start right away. It enhances their chances to go and it fires them up even more.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'll be a big issue. You know, the bigger issue is will there be what staff changes will there be in the offseason? Are we going to get that offensive coordinator? Are we going to get that special teams revamping that is so badly needed? I think we will, but again, it's going to be a nuclear winter of sorts if you go in with a 5-game losing streak and no bowl game.
Which one of those jobs do you think needs most attendance? Because Billy's the offensive coordinator. He's a quarterback coach. He's the head coach. Kind of does it all. Chief recruiter, bottle washer, what do you want to call it? And some people say you can't do all that today. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a coach, but I can tell you it's a lot. And when you miss things like the proper number of people on the field on a field goal or whatever, it shows. Now, I'm of the school, I believe Everett Meyer's right when he says the special teams coach needs to be the head coach because he's the one who says to all his first-round draft picks, you're playing special teams. And David Whitley says, oh, no, I'm not. So, David, you can sit till you play special teams. The power to do that and that influence. And he said outright, you got to brainwash him to do that. His special teams were phenomenal. And he said, 4, 5, 600 yards, 40 or 50 yards on special teams in a game can make a difference in a close game. And I believe that. But here's the larger picture. You know me, David, I'm a big picture guy. The moral high ground, okay? Mm-hmm. And my question is there something wrong with our athletic society? We're willing to pay a guy $76 million not to coach.
I think it's crazy when you think about that amount of money, but the sad fact is that there's so much money in sports now that it's got to go somewhere, and and they have rigged it to such that if a guy, if you're going to get a guy, you got to promise him that. Now, I think it would be, I don't know, it might be collusion, but if every athletic director would get together and say, look, we're just not going to do this. We're not going to give these guarantees to keep these guys here. We're going to treat them like pretty much every other employee. We give them, they can give a nice 2-week bonus, check and maybe pick up a plant on the way out the door or something like that, and be happy with that because when you're fired, I'm hard pressed to think of another golden parachute like they've given these coaches, and it is just it's a head scratcher. But that's it's guys like Jimmy Sexton, the super agent, and he may be talk about a guy who gets Christmas cards every year from. I mean, not only he's Jimbo Fisher's agent, he was Gus Malzahn's agent, he was Willie Taggart's agent, and I think of the top 5 buyouts, he has probably 4 of them that he's gotten. So more part. That's what he's hired to do, and he's very good at it. But it's sort of like putting the toothpaste back in the tube. I don't know how you do it now, but you sort of wish that way back when they would have gotten and said, when a guy gets, when a guy is bad at his job and you fire him, why should we pay you the balance? That doesn't happen in any, I'm hard pressed to think. I mean, you hear about some of these golden parachutes CEOs get, but 98% of the American workforce, if you stink at your job, you get fired. You may get
2 weeks, a bag of chips.
Yeah, you're happy to just get a good reference from the people at your next job and saying, well, he is a hard worker. It just didn't work out.
David, do you have Jimmy Sexton's number?
I I don't think you'd pick up my call if you did, but I would love to.
I think we
I
should go
said,
as a package deal.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
I know.
yeah.
Right.
So
I tell you, yeah. Well, I have a daughter. She's in high school, and she's looking for jobs. I said, look, I don't care if you go to McDonald's, get Jimmy Sexton's your agent, and give him pay you $5 million if
yeah,
you stink at the drive-through.
yeah. There you go. Well, there. I mean, here's the other thing too that I think that if we get fired, we ought to at least get a year's worth of McDonald's. You know what I mean? At least that to carry our buyout. Well, so it is, and so here we are, and the only thing left that could happen with a good spin. By the way, I am actually giving them credit for playing hard. I like the way
Oh
they
yeah.
played. Everybody wants to tell them how lousy they were on defense. They missed tackles. Yeah, they were trying to tackle smoke. He did
Mm.
it. He's done it to everybody. Jaden Daniels has. So I'm not as harsh on them. What I saw in the game, I think I could call myself trained eyes. I've seen enough football. I saw maximum effort. Now I know there are no moral victories. Don't get excited out there, but I mean, what else can you do? At this point in
Mm.
time, I asked the question, so you want to fire Billy Napier? Then who do you hire? And how long is that going to take? That's just not going to happen. Now, do I think that things should change? Yes, I do think things should change. And I think they will. I don't know whether he wants to hire a special teams coach or not. I think he should because there's not a special teams coach listed on the whole docket of 100 coaches called game changers.
Mm.
And I'm thinking if Urban Meyer says you need a name and a face on it, I would agree with that. Something needs to be changed there. Play caller, I'm okay with his play calling. I think Shane and Matthews and I agree he's a pretty good play caller. And he's a good organizer. He may have been a little too slow to react. Maybe he ought to be more aggressive in the portal, things of that nature. And he needs to get some other coaches in there. And as someone said the other day, David, I'll ask you the question. There are 90 people on that staff who are analysts, or what do you want to call them, from dietitians to whatever, to game changers. Can you name one?
Negative. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like the Kremlin in there. That there's millions of people working, but they're nameless and faceless.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can name the assistant coaches, but you literally have maybe 20 minutes the entire year of FaceTime with them,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate. But as it relates to like the special team, I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There are you've got Chris Couch is the coordinator of the game changers,
Correct.
but does that mean he is sort of the de facto coach? My sense is you probably have somebody in charge of the punting team, of the blah blah blah. It doesn't work. What you said about Urban, just saying it. I think it is interesting how the a month ago, everyone said, he needs an offensive coordinator, play calling and good. That has lessened because the offense hasn't been an issue
Right.
the last week. And when you consider how leaky that offensive line is, I think that that they're that they've really done a good job in his play calling. Considering what he has to work with, he's done well. I think the benefit of him having an offensive coordinator and him having some input in the offense would be it would free him up to be more of an overseer of
right.
special teams because you can be. I think a head coach can be a special teams coach. It doesn't require as much time as it does to an offensive coordinator and get up that game plan kind of thing. And he could devote more to that, but so much else. It's talking to the Missouri beat writer today who covers the tie, about Eli Drinkwitz and how Drinkwitz gave up his play calling this year. And, he was bought in for his play calling. He was a whiz, but it didn't really pan out the first few years, but he was recruiting well.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was changing the culture there and things were going on, but he just realized that there's just too much else going on, too many other duties that are involved in running a big time program. He went at Appalachian State anymore.
Yeah.
And he's, in order to do that and to handle all the outside things and the inside things and running a program, he needed it just for his own time, just to devote to other things. Mm-hmm. And he still has his hand involved in it, of course. And I think by doing that, it would help Billy keep those 90 plus people organized.
Right.
And more focused. And because you are this ain't the old days where your football coach had 12 guys to work with, and then he was also the AD and hiring basket. In the old days you could do that, but those old days, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We're long past that now.
Well, I've been accused of being the old guy. I guess I am on Shane's show. People tell me I'm just old fashioned. I don't get it. Well, the game has changed. Shane says you got to pay guys for everything. They want $5,000 to take a visit now. I get all that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive and stupid. No, I cannot believe in my heart of hearts that the college football is driven completely by money. I know it's a big factor. I know it's changed. I realize you have to have it. But there's got to be some intrinsic value to playing football and having education at a good school. And yes, there has to be some money involved. I can't believe that it's just totally mercenary that everybody wants money. If it is, then I don't know what to think of it. But I know checkbooks don't buy championships. Ask George Steinbrenner. He's tried for a long time. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that if all things being equal, it is the intrinsic things you talk about. But if you're thinking of going to school A and school B, and school A is offering you $25,000 more than school B, you're going to go to school B. I think where it's going to go, and where it really has gotten to now, except for maybe a crazy Miami booster, is you won't get outbid. Every kid SEC level recruit, at least the top level, the Bama, the guys that go to Bama, Georgia, and Florida is trying to get, the money is probably the same. Then it becomes more of the intrinsic things. Who am I more comfortable with coaching wise? The stuff, who, like when you hear Billy talk about what this is a top 5 school in U.S. News World Report. You have the boost organization, the connections you'll make everywhere. And all those things that make Florida that we relate to. I think that still matters, and that's what kids will weigh against those things that Georgia offers and Alabama, if the money's basically the same. But and I think that's where it's gotten. Hopefully, but it is sad that you hear the numbers around where guys will just they'll get $5,000 just to show up for a recruiting visit, and boy, somewhere Charlie Pell's pulling his hair out. Thinking, holy cow, things have changed. But I do think that those intangibles do matter still at that level. I mean, because if a kid is this debate between Bama and Georgia, chances are the money's the same. It's just, do you want to play for Kirby Smart or Nick Saban?
True.
Those kind of things at this point. And I think it will get that. It is that way there. That I think on the NIL money level, Florida has gotten its act together to the point where I don't think they're losing people to because of NIL. I think it's just tough recruiting against Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. It's always going to be, has been. But they're getting to where they, what they do have to offer can match that.
Well, this transitory system we've got now, there are going to be a lot of people in the game of musical chairs changing seats here. Get used to seeing 3 and 4 stars and whatever 5s there are changing, and Florida's going to lose some. There's going to be some collateral damage. There already is. We've seen that. This is the game they play now, and you're going to see this. They're shopping. So there's going to be some stuff going on. So it's hard for a Gator fan to say, oh, no, the class was number 3. They lost a couple of guys. They're number 4. They're going to slip to number 8. I get all that. And I know it's important. I'm not downgrading the importance of recruiting. I understand that. But from a perspective of a Gator fan, you've been around. You grew up in Jacksonville. You know what it's like to be a Gator fan. I'm thinking, how are you going to keep your sanity in the next few months? How can you derive something from being a Gator fan? And it can't be like this, because the holidays are coming. There will be home probably for for the bowl season. It's going to be a quote unquote another rebuilding season. And, those Gators who take it the wrong way stay off of high ledges and don't go around sharp objects. But bottom line is, there is something to salvage from this. I thought back on my own life and my own career from the time I was a wee boy chasing around stiff-arming chairs while listening to Otis Boggs. There was always something about it. Now, everybody can't have that passion like you and I do. But there is something to be gained. And I thought, well, if you can gain something, what can you derive from this season? Take what you can take and move on, because it's not going to be a championship year. Do you think the bones are good? I think the bones are good on this team. I like what Billy's doing. Do I have evidence to prove that he will win championships? No, but there's only going to be one champion. And you can't be Georgia. You're not going to be Georgia. So let's be realistic here and say, what are you looking for here? What do you want out of this team? Because if you're thinking about winning an SEC championship, you better tuck that away for a while. As I said to Shane, there are such things as dreams and expectations. Dreams came true in 1996. Expectations have been tough ever since then, including through Urban Meyer, who managed to overcome it. And now we're living off of expectations and reputation. So you can tell me what's good enough for you as a Gator fan. What do you have to see? I thought about some of the teams I've liked and really enjoyed knowing them. I like relationships, which you can't have anymore. I loved Carlos Alvarez and John Reeves and Fred Penkins. Yeah, I know it was 100 years ago. That team was a really fun team to watch. I enjoyed the relationships I had with the players and coaches, and they didn't win any championships. So, David, if you can't get a championship as a fan, what do you do?
Right now, I think if you're a Florida fan, you would just like to see it trending in the positive and in the right direction. And that's going to be hard if you just look at the number, which probably will be, 5-7. And if it is, what do you claim? Hope would be, and it gets down to, and I hate it because it's such a crap, is recruiting. If you can say, well, we've got the number of whatever, any top 5 class, that's okay. That says that a brighter day might be ahead. Beyond that, it's hard. They did play, as you said, they played well. You can see that. I think this team, the culture is good, and they're getting the right kind of guys in there. The culture, that don't quit and have the right attitude and all that, and you can see where that might pay off down the road. But you don't even get to the road again for 9 months.
Right.
You got, and that's going to be hard. And you can point to basically you have to hook if you're looking for optimism, you have to hook your wagon to someone like DJ Lago, which I think is silly, but it's the only wagon out there to hitch right now. Saying, we're bringing in this kid, and he might be all that, and that's might be all that, and it's sort of a balance, because you want to be excited about that, but you also want to be realistic and say it still ain't going to happen overnight. That these are 18-year-old kids coming, and it's going to take time to mature. But right now, other than recruiting, if Billy, I'm trying to think, bought in, I think said I'm bringing in, revamping, getting that special teams guy, and getting an offensive coordinator. Now, whether he really needs it or not, at this point, I think he needs it, if nothing else, from a PR standpoint, just to appease people. Say, okay, because he said yesterday, he says, it's about, I got to find, but you have to adapt along the way and change. And he said, and that's all part of the adaptation that he needs to make on the way.
Yeah.
And so I think that, if he can go in front of everybody and say, look, it was rough, but it's 2 years, but I think he needs to go out on the and basically say we're going to see improvement this year. You're going to see. I don't know if he should put a number on it, but he needs to put his neck out, because whether he wants to or not, his neck is out now, because guys like you and I who have, I don't say we made excuses, but we're giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Every benefit of the doubt we can.
Yeah. But you can do that. Even if they lose the next 2, I'd say, well, look, you got to give him at least 3 years to see something. But by next year, you got even the non-skeptics like us need to see something next year, because another 5 or 6 win year
can't have
is not going to cut it.
No. All right, David, here's your assignment. I'll do this quick read on the spot, tighten MRI. Since the golden era is taken from 1945, 46, and 47, and you can't use the golden era even in basketball, If this team has 3 straight losing seasons, what name should we give it? Think about that when I read you the spot, and I'll come back and say, what should this era be called if they lose next 2 games? All right. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance, no problem. You can pay with cash or card, same day scheduling. You can start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent facility. Come see what hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville site from places like Ocala, Marion County, Lake City, the Villages. That's TitanMRI.com. David, golden era is taken. What would this era be called if they lose the next 2?
The Dark Ages.
Dark Ages.
I know that's taken too. Someone took it like centuries ago.
Yeah.
But the Dark Ages led to the Enlightenment. So
okay, well, there's that.
Yeah.
Maybe the brass era. I don't know.
Right,
Whatever.
Right. The brass era. And then but every era, like things are dark. Then along came the Industrial Revolution, and that led to better. So there's hope. Maybe call.
All right, now you're flaunting your knowledge of history. Now you're starting to flaunt your background education.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But it could just be the transition area.
There you go. We'll work on that one. I'll get back to you next week on our show. All right.
All right.
David Whitley, columnist of the Gainesville Sun, one of our favorite guys to have on. Appreciate it, David. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy. See you later.